keep calling this the Chinese virus? There are reports of dozens of incidents of bias against Chinese Americans in this country. Your own aide, Secretary Azar, says he does not use this term. He says ethnicity does not cause the virus. Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
It's not racist at all, no, not at all. It comes from China. That's why. It comes from China. I want to be accurate. Yeah, please, John, please.
The aides behind you. Are you comfortable with this term?
I have great love for all of the people from our country, but as you know, China tried to say at one point, maybe they stopped now, that it was caused by American soldiers. That can't happen. It's not going to happen, not as long as I'm president. It comes from China. This came out of nowhere and actually came out of China, which is the way it works. The coronavirus outbreak that started in China and is now spreading throughout the world. What's happened since the Chinese virus came about? This is the most aggressive and comprehensive effort to confront a foreign virus in modern history.
China and others have criticized you for using the phrase Chinese virus. How do you feel about that? Are you going to continue using that phrase?
Well, China was putting out information which was false, that our military gave this to them. That was false. And rather than having an argument, I said, I have to call it where it came from. It did come from China. So I think it's a very accurate term. But no, I didn't appreciate the fact that China was saying that our military gave it to them. Our military did not give it to anybody.
Critics say using that phrase creates a stigma.
No, I don't think so.
Good for him. That was Trump at his very best. How is it inaccurate to call a virus from China Chinese?
Is there a reason the president is referring to this now as the China virus, the Chinese virus?
Well, I think he's talking about where it started. But does it help who?
The Wuhan virus from Wuhan is a virus from China that is a foreign virus.
I'm married to an Asian. I'm not engaging in hypothetical. My kids are, partly. Yes, I'm married to an Asian American. My kids are 25% Filipino. Of course it's wrong, but you can't just make an accusation and not tell us who it is. Who is it? Come and tell us.
At least one White House official who used the term Kung Flu, referring to the fact that this virus started in China. Is that acceptable? Is it wrong? Are you worried that having this virus be talked about as a Chinese virus, that might?
I wonder who said that. You know who said that?
I'm not sure the person's name, but would you condemn the fact?
Say the term again.
A person at the White House used the term Kung Flu. My question is, do you think that's wrong? Kung Flu. And do you think using the term Chinese virus, that puts Asian Americans at risk, that people might target them?
No, not at all. I think they probably would agree with it 100%. It comes from China. There's nothing not to agree on.
It's absolutely wrong and inappropriate to call this the Chinese coronavirus. I assume you would agree with that.
Yes, China was the first phase. Korea and Iran was the second phase, with Italy, now all of Europe.
Dumbness is almost always the explanation for how they behave.
Hear that silence? That nothingness? That is the sound of quarantine, my friends.
The Italian government announced that the entire country was going to go into a nationwide quarantine, if you will. It's called the stay-at-home decree, and it applies to the entire country. Prior to this, they had done this to areas where there were hotspots of cases or lots of outbreaks, but it wasn't enough. We were still seeing big numbers of the coronavirus spreading across the country, and so they decided that the best thing we could do as a nation would be for everybody to stay put, stop traveling, stop interacting, and we're hoping that these measures will contain the virus. started out where schools were closed, social gatherings were canceled. That's changed. When they announced the nationwide ban, they said that stores would remain open, bars and restaurants would remain open with limited hours as long as they can guarantee their customers were 1 meter apart, which is about 3 feet. Now they've closed all non-essential businesses. The only thing open are food purveyors, not restaurants, not bars, grocery stores, bakeries, butchers, hardware stores if you need to buy light bulbs or you have some sort of home emergency, pharmacies, of course. Even a week ago, people were worried about tourism. They were worried about people canceling their trips. They were thinking that this would pass, that the quarantines that they had done in smaller towns would end the problem. But that changed very quickly as the numbers started to go up. And I think by the time the Prime Minister announced the measures that they were taking to shut down the whole country, the Italian public was very behind it. They feel like it's necessary. The number of deaths that we have are simply unacceptable. This virus started in Italy in February, and when it started, they did immediate testing. We have national health care. If you don't feel good, if you have a sniffle, people go to the doctor here. And they did thousands more tests than even our closest European neighbors with national health care systems. That wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to stop this virus. The quarantines that were originally applied only to very small towns where the outbreaks were occurring wasn't enough. And when I think about what's happening in the United States right now, when I think about the numbers we're seeing out of Seattle, small numbers of cases happening in my home state of Florida, for example, I am very concerned because I know that's just the tip of the iceberg.
I can say we will see more cases and things will get worse than they are right now. Bottom line, it's going to get worse.
Relax. We're doing great. It all will pass.
It's important for the federal government to speak clearly, concisely, and with a single voice. And that the American people really need to be able to trust that the information they're getting is accurate and informed. America is where Italy was 2 weeks ago. They're not taking major precautions. A lot of people think that the threat is overblown and it won't impact their lives. But what we've seen here, the trajectory of the virus, shows us that that's not true, that this thing is spreading fast and will impact your lives in very real ways.
By the way, I had my temperature taken coming into the room.
So did we.
You did? Good.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Let's compare. Do you want to compare?
We did all of it. Yeah.
Good. Well, that means we're all looking good. I also took the test last night. Yeah. And I decided I should, based on the press conference yesterday. People were asking, did I take the test?
The result, Mr. President?
I don't know, whatever it takes, a day or 2 days, whatever it is. They send it to a lab.
Why did you
But
decide to take it?
You've been sending mixed
Only because
messages,
the press
sir.
is going crazy.
Mr. President, respectfully, you've been sending mixed messages. We watched as you shook hands with people yesterday. You have talked about 5 million tests being available, probably won't need that many. Has your own sense of urgency evolved, and are you changing what you're doing?
No, I've been urgent. This is urgent for me right from the beginning. You know that because I closed up our country to China.
But why are you shaking hands, sir?
Because it almost becomes a habit, and you get out of that habit. And frankly, I was a non-handshaker for the most part. I never believed that shaking hands once you become a politician. And I notice it too. Political people walk up to me, they want to shake my hand. I said, well, you know,
mixed message, sir.
Just wait a minute. Just take it nice and easy, okay? Just relax. People come up to me. They shake hands, they put their hand out. It's sort of a natural reflex, and we're all getting out of it. All of us have that problem. Somebody comes up to you, they put their hand out, you probably tend to just shake it. And we're all getting out of that. Shaking hands is not a great thing to be doing right now, I agree. but people put their hand out. Sometimes I'll put the hand out. You don't think about it. People are thinking about it more and more. We have to think about it. It's important. Somebody said yesterday, I touched the microphone. I was touching it because we have different height people, and I'm trying to make it easy for them because they're going to have to touch because they wouldn't be able to reach the mic. They wouldn't be able to speak in the mic. So I'll move the mic down. And they said, oh, he touched the microphone. Well, if I don't touch it, they're going to have to touch it. Somebody's going to have to. So I might as well be the one to do it. But no, we all have to get away from, getting away from shaking hands is a good thing. And possibly that's something that comes out of this. Maybe people shouldn't be shaking hands for the long term because it does transmit flu and other things. You know, we have flu in our country that kills on average 36,000 people a year. 36,000 people. And, you know, that's something that we're not talking about. But as of this moment, we've lost 50, possibly a little bit less than 50, but probably 50 people. And we're going to try and keep that number as low as possible. Can you tell us how you did this? Thank
you. Was your temperature normal, Mr. President?
Totally normal. It wasn't that when you did it.
Hello, Mr. Vice President.
Well, good afternoon, everyone.
No, I don't take responsibility at all.
You said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House Pandemic Office, and the officials that were working in that office left this administration abruptly. So what responsibility do you take to that? And the officials that worked in that office said that the White House lost valuable time because that office wasn't disbanded. What do you make of that?
Well, I just think it's a nasty question because what we've done is, and Tony has said numerous times that we've saved thousands of lives because of the quick closing. And when you say me, I didn't do it. We have a group of people. I could ask perhaps my administration, but I could perhaps ask Tony about that because I don't know anything about it. Some of the people we cut, they haven't been used for many, many years. And if we ever need them, we can get them very quickly. And rather than spending the money, and I'm a business person, I don't like having thousands of people around when you don't need them. I mean, you say we did that. I don't know anything about it.
You don't know about the reorganization that happened at the National Security Council.
It's the administration. Perhaps they do that. You know, people let people go. You used to be with a different newspaper than you are now. You know, things like that happen.
Dr. Fauci said earlier this week that the lag in testing was, in fact, a failing. Do you take responsibility for that? And when can you guarantee that every single American who needs a test will be able to have a test? What's the date of that?
Yeah, no, I don't take responsibility at all because we were given a set of circumstances and we were given rules, regulations, and specifications from a different time. Wasn't meant for this kind of an event with the kind of numbers that we're talking about. And what we've done is redesigned it very quickly with the help of the people behind me. And we're now in very, very strong shape. I think we'll be announcing, as I said, Sunday night. And this will start very quickly. And we'll have the ability to do in the millions over a very, very quick period of time. So, no. And what we have done, and we are going to be leaving a very indelible print for the future in case something like this happens again. But it was and that's not the fault of anybody. And frankly, the old system worked very well for smaller numbers, much smaller numbers, but not for these kind of numbers. Tony, maybe you'd like to say something.
Will you have, yes, please, by Sunday night, will every American be able to get a test?
So just to reiterate what I said to many of you multiple times, it's a dissonance of a system. The system was not designed for what it was designed for. It worked very well. The CDC designed a good system. If you want to get the kind of blanket testing and availability that anybody can get it, or you could even do surveillance to find out what the penetrance is, you have to embrace the private sector. And this is exactly what you're seeing because you can't do it without it. So when I said that, I meant the system was not designed for what we need. Now, looking forward, the system will take care of it.
I'm not afraid of the coronavirus, and no one else should be that afraid either.
I am responsible for transmitting accurate messaging and information.
Now, I was pretty calm before all this, but then I got a little less calm when people told me to stay calm.
The hate is boiling over.
Democrats and their media minions are even trying to blame President Trump for the global coronavirus.
Anything to attack President Trump. It's the Trump virus. What are you talking about?
You mean Barack
Ebola?
He's imported Ebola into America.
I look at Ebola as a medical terrorist.
There's no reason to panic at all.
There's tons of hyperbole and speculation, none of which is helpful at all.
The entire problem we're having is due to panic, not the virus.
Ebola fear is spreading across the nation.
It's scary. This Ebola crisis and this Ebola scare.
Do you think America could be overwhelmed with Ebola?
Absolutely.
Are we freaking out too much?
What's
Most
happening?
people who have it have just mild symptoms.
Correct.
They're just sitting at home eating soup.
They have contained this thing. Let's everybody get about your business.
It's a disaster, and there's panic all over the country.
The president needs more help, and the public's worried that the government can't handle the Ebola crisis.
Watch the Democrats, watch the media. You start to feel like they're rooting for coronavirus to spread.
If you want Trump to fail, then you're scum. Because if Trump fails, people die.
The panic isn't about the disease. The panic is about the leadership.
The president said that this disease wouldn't make it here. Well, then it did. And then when it got here, it wasn't going to spread. Well, now it has.
I think very few people trust our government as being competent. And it's all really starts at the top. It starts with Obama.
I think the president has been projecting calm. He's been very cool.
Do I want my president running around screaming like, we're all gonna die? No, I love that he was like, we're gonna be okay.
Are we all just panicking about this? Should we just chill out and not worry about it?
I'm just sick of a government that I'm paying for telling me not to worry and just trust them.
I think the President of the United States, by his lackadaisical attitude, is responsible if there is any hysteria.
There is no need to panic like Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer want you to do.
Anyone who is exacerbating the unease that the American people feel, shame on them, reject them.
This is so insane, and I'm so angry now, and I'm blaming it on the president. Those morons at the CDC, those morons in the White House.
We are taking this very seriously at the highest levels of government.
I don't know how reassuring that is, that the highest levels of government are taking this really seriously.
You think this is far worse than the government is telling us?
Either they're lying, Sean, or they're grossly incompetent.
Obama's incompetency, his administration's incompetency, is really shining bright in this one.
The level of derangement is off the charts.
This is yet another attempt to impeach the president.
It's like the Russia hoax. It's like the Ukrainian hoax. This is another hoax.
Sowing fear, panic, distrust.
The
I was
same
watching
thing
Anthony
we
Fauci
deal
this
with.
weekend. I felt like he was a political hack.
Tony Fauci, one of the heroes in the
Anthony
battle against
Fauci,
AIDS.
absolutely.
Tony Fauci, terrific.
Ebola response coordinator Ron Klain.
Not a health professional. Look at the people who our taxpayer dollars are already paying, actual physicians whose jobs you might think it would be.
Vice President Pence is an inspired choice to lead this effort. It could be a month from now, we're not even talking about coronavirus.
We all love golf. There are times to play and there are times that you can't play. And it sends the wrong signal.
A bit of golf for the president this morning, not much else. Obviously, we don't expect him to do anything today, but should he make himself available or come out in public, I promise to tell you all about it.
Are we really trying that hard to keep Ebola out?
Coverage of this virus has been actually dangerous and counterproductive.
And even though the numbers are going up, the hysteria level should actually go down.
There's speculation it could get worse. Some say, like the president, it could miraculously disappear.
This is coming to a community near us? Is that what you're saying?
It seems to be just absolutely inevitable.
That's a chilling prognosis.
You know,
what does it say about the state of our politics? We can't even agree to work together on solving a virus that will attack all of us.
If he says we're assessing the risk and we're going to take it day by day, they're going to say he's not paying enough attention and he's incompetent.
If he doesn't show up, then this table will say, where the hell is he? And then if he does show up, we go, oh man, we're all going to die.
Hey, Corona.
We will never be the destroy, psychotic, hate Trump media mob. We seek the truth.